I am back at it. I'm back to trying to publish every day for a year, round two. I did it before. I did it a year ago, made it about a year and a half. And this time I am layering in guest speaking on 50 podcasts in 100 days. I'm going to try and guest speak on 50 podcasts in 100 days. I'm going to talk a little bit about that inspiration. There's three main bits of inspiration as to why I'm back at it podcasting and why I am pumped to go guest speak. Enjoy this episode. You know when someone is selling from stage and at the end the audience gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy? That's a table rush. My name is Misha Z, and the Table Rush Talk Show is all about bringing you the tools, strategies, and tactics that you can use to grow your audience and inspire them to buy. All right, I am back. So first off, I am heading to Mexico with my son Waylon, who is now 20 years old. I have two boys. They are 20 and 22 years old. They both turned those ages this February. So just last month, all of a sudden, I have no teenagers. What? I am firmly falling into the empty nest. I just have one more son that needs to move out, but I'm going to get to it again on this episode. I'm going to talk about, hey, the inspiration for guest speaking on 50 podcasts in 100 days so that I can get my message out there. And there's three main catalysts for that. The first one is I had confirmation of value, that the confirmation of the value that I am bringing with what I'm doing. Two was I had awesome success guesting on a show, guest speaking on a show. And three, I am horrified to spend money on Facebook, to spend money on social media. Today, I'm going to focus on the confirmation of value, how I got the confirmation, literally the confirmation. Misha, it's confirmed. You are adding tremendous value with what you're doing with your testimonial work, your interview work. And so I'm going to talk about that, how I got to this point, because it's been kind of a journey. And so maybe you can pull some nuggets of value from that. One of the things, well, let's get into that. And then I'll talk about going to Mexico with my son. So phase one, I jumped into Russel Brunson's circle of funnel hackers. And I dove in deep, 2.5 years ago, went right into his, $25,000 a year coaching group. I don't think I'd recommend that to anybody. Jumping in right out of the gate, maybe go have some idea of what you want to do. But when I jumped in, I had no idea where I was going, what I was going to do. I just know that my sons were moving out of the house, getting out of high school. My period of being a single stay-at-home-ish dad was coming to a rapid close, and my semi-retirement was ending. So, Russel Brunson in his book, Expert Secrets, talks about, hey, how do you get to the point how do you become an expert? How do you become an expert in your field or an expert in a field? And how do you ultimately be able to monetize that? And, hopefully it's in doing something you love. And so phase one, there's 5 phases. There's the dreamer phase, the reporter phase. Phase 3 is the framework creator phase. Phase 4 is the servant phase. Phase 5 is the expert guide. And so phase 1, the dreamer, basically it's, hey, go to do, test, try, start doing and testing and trying things. And that's actually, I jumped into Russell Brunson's 2CCX, his coaching group. And I started trying things. And first off, I started trying, it was more of healing modality, right? I was a yoga teacher at the time. I'd had a very successful sales career for 20 years. I'd semi-retired to get my boys through, grade school and high school. And I started teaching yoga because I could do that kind of on the side, I guess. And I love yoga. I still do a ton of yoga, but yoga, being a yoga teacher, really allowed me the flexibility to you know, raise my boys and but still prioritize my boys in a big way. It was like a hobby, the yoga teaching. Anyway, man, I was trying to make this episode be 10 minutes, but seems like it's going to be longer. So I apologize. Hang in there with me. But yeah, so I'm out there testing and trying. I did a summit. One of the things I did was an online virtual summit, and I interviewed all these cool people. The summit was was the Tools for a Good Life Summit. You can still go there, toolsforagoodlifesummit.com. It's a evergreen summit. There's 20 speakers on there. I interviewed 20 people, so there's 20 speakers. It's great. Learning. Fast forward, I realized, hey, I don't really necessarily want to be in the healing modality space. I do so much volunteer work for free in that space. It's not something I want to monetize. So I work a ton with, in the addiction, alcoholism field. And I donate a ton of time and I mentor a ton of people in that space. And I like doing it for free. And I don't want to monetize the healing stuff. God bless those who do, right? So, over the last couple of years, I'm trying. I'm like, oh, I love the entrepreneur stuff. I always have. And it turns out I'm great at interviewing and this and that. And there's phase 2, the reporter phase. And that's where you start interviewing people. So I started my podcast. I started interviewing people. I started publishing every day and finding my voice and learning what I liked. And man, I would hit these major I don't want to say break points. What do you call them? Like turning points along the way. They would just hit me like a wall. It was like, no, you don't want to be helping divorced dads find their second phase of life yet. The universe, God, whatever, you still may want me to do that. But it was like, no, entrepreneur stuff. And I thought I was going to be a content creator, right? I was going to edit videos for people, and interviewing people was going to be in there somehow. I came up with this thing called the Winfomercial, where I would interview people and it would be like an infomercial, which is really funny because that's starting to really percolate strongly in the online marketing podcast space. There's these, all these podcast interviews under the guise of, being educational, but they're really just infomercials, and people are driving traffic to them and all this stuff. But anyway, the next thing I'm interviewing people, I'm learning. One of the things that he says to do is start going to conferences, going to, masterminds, doing these things. And so that's what I've been doing. As I said at the very beginning of this, I'm heading to Mexico with Waylon, my 20-year-old, and we're going to the Mastermind in Paradise, Russel Brunson's Mastermind in Paradise. There'll be 300 of our closest funnel hackers, of highly committed funnel hackers who pay Russel Brunson anywhere from $25,000 to $250,000 a year or more to be in his networking groups. So as I'm recording this, I had just packed. Waylon had just packed. We're going to go do some serious networking. And a little side note: the funny thing about Waylon is that Waylon, a lot of people there bring their kids, their teen, the young 20-year-old kids, and so there's some successful funnel hackers there that have brought their kids, and Waylon's all networked up with them, and so all these people that I look up to, he goes out to dinner with them. Like the Wilders, Eileen Wilder. I don't know if any of you follow Eileen Wilder. You've got to, though. She's the best speaker. She teaches people how to speak on stage and how to sell on stage and be super successful, and how to really, but to talk about your passion on stage. So she isn't just like, it's really cool. She's really helps you find your your voice but man, to be able to go out to dinner with her would be amazing. Her, to network with her like that. And of course, my son at the last event we were at, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm going out to dinner with the Wilders." It's like, what? So anyway, a final diversion on that is that if Waylon, it turns out, if the only thing that me being in the 2CCX for the last 3 years and paying $25,000 a year is that Waylon gets inspired, gets to network, gets to meet amazing people, then it's all worthwhile. And Waylon has told me a couple of times, he's like, I don't know if this funnel hacking is going to be a thing for him, but he says he has been so inspired and sees what's possible in the world. Now, how cool is that? So powerful. He's been inspired. It's totally changed his life. It's been pretty powerful. This will be his third event he's gone to. And anyway, enough about that. So there you go. Then phase 4 is the servant, work for free. And boy, oh boy, this is long-winded. Anyway, that's what I'm going to talk about is the servant. And phase 5 is the expert guide. So phase 4, the servant. You come up with all these frameworks, you test and try, you come up with frameworks. I fast forward, I've been trying and testing and doing all these things and going to all these events and testing my message and what resonates with people. And it came to me to people need help getting their customer testimonials. And I was repurposing content for a coach because I had repurposed my summit interviews. I have this hook hang fit. It's my hook hang fit framework to create, 15 to 1 minute long, 15 second to 1 minute long reels with your long form content, how you turn it into short form content. I've got this hook hang fit framework. You find the hook point that pulls people in, you find the hang point where it leaves them hanging, and then you edit it down to make it fit within that 15 to 45 seconds to 1 minute. So hook hang fit. And then you can take like a 10-minute section, a story of an interview, and turn it into 5 to 7 smaller hook hang fit bits and have people follow that journey. Oh my gosh, I had some super fun stories around that, but I'm not here to tell all those stories. Just suffice it to say that one of the things about being the servant as you create your frameworks is that you work for free. And so I was working for free for people. I was like, you pay me to go somewhere, you pay me and let me test my frameworks, my interview frameworks. Let me test my testimonial frameworks, right? I've got my customer story arc framework. That's how I interview people and get their testimonials for you. They're amazing. And then I've got my perfect video testimonial system, my 5-step system for getting your customers to gladly do your selling for you. And so I said, hey, I will interview your people. You just get me there. So I've did a couple of events for free. And in fact, one person was like, heck yeah, but let me pay you. They're like, I know you're willing to work for free, but I want to pay you. So I was getting paid a little bit. This was Stacy. So Stacy was like, she believed in me and saw what I could do and saw the value that I could bring before I really saw it in myself. She just saw my passion and my enthusiasm for interviewing and getting the story and being open-hearted and authentic and really holding that space for your customers to tell that story, to tell their stories to me and get it in an authentic way. And I am so good at asking questions and asking the questions again and from a different spotlight. And then I asked some good questions too. Um, so she was having me give her invoices. She was flying me around to these events, and I was interviewing her customers and doing what I would call strategic interviews, where I get the customer origin story, and then the way I do it, it just adds so much value to her customers that they want to renew her services, as well as it attracts new customers to pay her. So she's paying me a little bit. I've got some outstanding invoices to her. I've got some quotes out to her. And this is where the confirmation of value comes in. I hadn't spoken to her for a couple months. And she's got a magazine called Mind, Body, Soul magazine. She does these live events. They're the release parties for the like the winter edition, the winter manifest edition release party. So she throws these big parties and all the advertisers come, and then I interview all the advertisers, and I get, my strategic interviews, as well as I get these heart-centered testimonials, and then they renew, and then new advertisers buy because they love being interviewed. And then I deliver to them this amazing content. And anyway, I wake up I haven't heard hide nor hair from her for a couple months. And I wake up this one morning to an email that says, I have to have you at this next event. I am flying you out to this next event. Book your tickets because you drive so much revenue for me that I have to have you there. And not only that, I'm going to pay all my outstanding invoices to you, and I'm going to pay you for the quote for this next event. So book your plane tickets. And this impassioned email, I was like, oh my gosh. All of a sudden, there was this confirmation that I am adding tremendous value. Like, I'm literally adding financial value to a customer. And I was like, holy crap. It gave me so much confidence, and it's given me so much confidence and so much belief in what I'm doing. I'm so convicted. Like, before, I was doing it and convicted and know that I'm intuitively good at what I'm doing here, but to have it delivered to me in that fashion, man, it was so inspiring. And I'll also tell you that, I've done testimonial and interview work for other customers. And the feedback that they've told me, how it's like inspired them so much when they get this content back from their customers telling them how impactful and amazing they are. It just inspires these clients of mine to keep working harder and to keep at it. And then I've also done these I've done these prompt style interviews, or Winfomercial style interviews, where someone will pay me to interview them because they're better on camera when they're prompted with questions, right? And that's a truth. I was on this training with Kaylin and Brandon Poland, who were the owners of Lady Boss, which was they grew this Lady Boss company, go Google it, into a very big company, which they ultimately sold to Russel Brunson. But I was on this training, and Brandon Poland and Kaylin Poland, they said, hey, Brandon, this is another proof of confirmation for me. Brandon's like, hey, I like to be interviewed to create my content, right? So he has a videographer that asks him his questions, that prompts him, and then he does what he does naturally, and he sounds amazing. Some people are good at just riffing on their own. Some people like to be prompted and pay to be prompted, right? So I've had a client or two actually like that. But when Stacy, and super happy, right? They're like, oh my gosh, that you made it so easy, and you helped me make these videos, and and one was submitting some videos for the Bootstrapped Award, and they wanted to make these videos. Anyway, I'm going on long, but I think you get what I'm saying. So that I was like, I'm adding value. I need that coupled with the success I had guesting on a show, which I'm going to talk about another episode, the next one. And then the next episode after that will be, I'm horrified to spend money on Facebook and all the stories I have seen about that. Couple all that together, and I'm like, I got to go do the podcast tour, and I need to guest speak on 50 podcasts in 100 days. And not only that, I'm going to document the journey for you so you can join with me and learn and be inspired. And maybe you'll email me. My email's in the show notes, and say, here's a podcast you should go on. All right, I've gone on long enough. I'm also going to be you have this to look forward to, me documenting my journey on guest speaking, on trying to guest speak on 50 podcasts in 100 days. I've named my challenge to myself. It's called the Guest Speaker Challenge. I created this whole system, this whole framework, and I'm going to execute it. I think I'm starting in 10 days or something like that, but I'm going to be telling you exactly how I'm doing it. And you get to be on the journey with me and watch my successes, my failures, really my action. I'm a good action taker when I'm inspired, and I am fully inspired. And when I have a plan, so inspiration plus plan, Misha usually finds success. And it's who knows what that success is going to look like. But all right, that's it. I'm off to Mexico on a plane in the morning. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.